Till now we have studied about the two most important plant morphological structures, that is flower and fruit. Now we will start with the third structure, that is this figure depicts the structure of a typical seed. Now basically what is seed? Seed is a fertilized form of ovule, that is after the process of fertilization the ovule formed is known as seed. Now, as it can be seen from the figure, seed basically consists of seed coat, cotyledon, plumule and radicle. Out of which cotyledon, plumule and radicle together combine to form embryo. And therefore, a seed basically consists of seed coat and embryo. And embryo is made up of plumule, radicle and cotyledon. The first part of the seed, that is seed coat, as it can be seen from the figure, is the outermost region. Therefore, seed coat is responsible as a protection unit of the seed, which is the outermost and hard and tough region. The second region, that is plumule, is responsible for the development of shoot system. The third part, that is radicle, is responsible for the development of root system. And the third part of embryo, that is cotyledon, is considered as a food storage region, that is the region where food is stored. Sometimes in few plants there is a separate region for storing food. Such region is known as endosperm. Thus, few seeds of the plant where cotyledon is absent, so such seeds consist of a separate region which is known as endosperm. Thus, a seed containing endosperm is called endospermic seed, and the seed containing cotyledon for storing food is called non-endospermic seed. Thus, in non-endospermic seeds, on the basis of number of cotyledons, the seeds have been classified into two types, that is dicot seed and monocot seed. In dicot seed, that is in dicotyledonous plants, the number of cotyledons is 2. On the contrary, in monocot seed, the number of cotyledons is 1. This is the structure of a typical endospermic and non-endospermic seed. This structure is of castor seed, which is endospermic in nature, that is, possess endosperm as a food storage region. This is structure of Phytum sativum, that is bean seed, which is non-endospermic in nature and possesses cotyledon as a food storing unit. And this figure represents the structure of a typical dicot and monocot seed. Example, here the structure of a dicot, that is bean seed, is depicted, and here monocot, that is corn seed possessing only a single cotyledon, is represented. Now we will understand about the structure of seeds. So let us begin with the structure of dicotyledon seed. The best example in order to understand the dicotyledon seed structure is bean, the scientific name of which is Phytum sativum, as discussed before. This is the structure of a typical dicotyledonous bean seed. Here, as seen from the figure, the number of cotyledons is 2. Plumule is present as leaf-like structure at the end of which radicle occurs. Now, the region between plumule and cotyledon is known as epicotyle, and that of between radicle and cotyledon is known as hypocotyle. Seed coat as present as the outer tough structure. Now, as it can be seen from the figure, a bean seed is flat, kidney-shaped structure which is yellowish white in color. Now, as we all know that the outer layer of seed, which is known as seed coat, in bean is tough and hard in nature and is the outermost region. A seed coat in a bean seed consists of two layers. The outer layer is tough and yellowish in color. Which is known as testa. and the inner layer, which is called tegmen, is thin and transparent. Known as tegmen. Thus, the outer layer is known as testa and the inner tegmen. As it can be seen from the figure, helium is a scarf on the surface of the seed coat through which fruits are attached to the seeds. Thus, helium is an attaching surface on seed coat through which fruits get attached to it. On the surface or above the hilum part, there is a structure or a small opening known as micropyle. Micropyle is the structure that helps in the process of reproduction of the plant. Because it contains small female reproductive cells. Thus, as it can be seen from the figure, the embryo, as said earlier, consists of linear cotyledon and radicle. The cotyledon here occurs as a large and fleshy unit, and since it is a dicot seed, the number of cotyledon is 2. Moreover, the second part, that is plumule, as said earlier, is responsible for the development of shoot system, and radicle is responsible for the development of root system. Moreover, epicotyle is a structure that connects radicle to the cotyledon, and the another structure, hypocotyle, as mentioned here, it acts as a structure that connects plumule to the cotyledon. As said, cotyledon present here are large and fleshy, and occurs 2 in number, which helps in the storage of food materials. As said earlier, plumule occurs at one end of axis from which shoot system develops. And radical occurs at the other end from which root system develops due to growth and development. Thus, since bean seed contains cotyledons for storing food and the number of cotyledons present here are 2, bean is called as dicotyledon non-endospermic seed. Till now we have studied about the structure of dicot seed. Now we will understand about the structure of monocot seed. Now maize is the best example for monocot seeds. This figure depicts the structure of a monocot seed, that is maize. As it can be seen from the figure, maize is narrow, flat-like, with broad at one end and narrow at the other. As it can be seen from the figure, if the maize seed is cut longitudinally in two sections and on staining it with iodine, this endosperm part turns into deep blue because due to the presence of starch and iodine on reacting with starch turns into deep blue color. On the contrary, the embryo portion does not changes its color because of yellowish region. Usually this embryo is located as a flat region. As flat and elongated region. The region other than embryo is called endosperm. As it can be seen from the figure, the structure of maize can be understood on the basis of its longitudinal section. Thus, as it can be seen from the figure, the outermost portion, which is called hull, is formed by the fusion of pericarp and seed coat. Pericarp here means fruit wall. Then following hull, alluron layer occurs which consists of rectangular and square-shaped cells. and is responsible for the storage of greens and proteins. Then another structure known as scutellum is a single thin thread-like structure which connects the epithelial layer and the lumen. Thus, scutellum is single, thin and shield-shaped structure which occurs in the embryonic region. Then another layer known as epithelial layer comes above the scutellum. It is responsible for food storing. Thus, epithelial layer is the layer formed above scutellum and beneath endosperm. This endosperm is large and acts as food storage unit in form of starch. Moreover, at the narrow end of scutellum, two axes are located. At one end, the axis is known as plumule and the other end radicle. Thus, embryonic axis occurs at the end of scutellum out of which plumule occurs at one end which is protected by coleoptile. And radicle occurs at the other end which is protected by coleorhiza. Now, since bean contains endosperm as the food storing unit and which is cotyledonous in nature, but the maize which is presented here consists of endosperm and not cotyledon as the food storing unit, and since it possesses only one and so such a seed of maize is known as endospermic monocot seed.